Hello again, Lockpicking Paul here, and what I've got tonight is a Berg-Vogter Profi padlock body, and that has a Basi V50 core. And this Basi is the one with the cool elephant on it, not a lock you see in the UK very often. And I got this one from Jason34, and Jason, thank you very much for that. This was surprisingly tricky pick initially until I got familiar with the lock and figured out actually what it needed. So when I get a new lock, I do a little bit of research, and I dug around on the LPU website, and the V50 comes up as a 5-pin orange belt lock. It's got 3 standards, 2 spools. The standards are in slots 1, 3, and 5. The spools are in 2 and 4. And if we look at the key, there is a 0 lift in position 2. So on paper, this should just fall open. It doesn't do that. After initially getting some very clean clicks on a couple of the pins, I then found I had to go backwards and forwards through the lock several times, getting little micro clicks out of the standard pins. I'm pretty certain this has tapered pins in it. Now, there's no mention of that on the LPU website, but it wouldn't be the first time I've seen tapered pins in a lock that I actually wasn't expecting to find them in. I thought it would make a pretty good demo to pick tapers with a Lishi, because that's not something you see it's not something I see too often, and this actually demonstrates the point really rather well with a Lishi. And you do have to sort of change the picking a little bit with this lock for a couple of reasons. The tolerances in German locks are very good, and this is no exception to that. And when you do get a counter, or rather a false set, counter rotation is not straightforward. You have to sort of help it along. The counter rotation is quite shy, and I think that's an effect of just very good tolerances. So let's see what this takes to get it open with a Lishi. One of the reasons to use a Lishi is you can be very much more precise with these and just be absolutely certain which pin you're on. Now, in terms of the Lishi, this is a Yale Y1 keyway. They're extremely common in a lot of locks. What isn't common are the pin spacing. So the pins aren't actually where the markings show them to be. You have to kind of bounce along the bottom of the pins to find where the pins are. And when I get to the pins, I'll show you what I mean by not matching the spacing. So starting at 1 and working our way forward, there's nothing on 1. 2 I'm going to avoid because of the 0. Nothing on 3. Nothing on 4. 5, which is situated between 4 and 5, is binding. Nice click out of that. Nothing on 4. 3 is binding. Nice click out of that. Avoid 2. Nothing on 1. So I'll back off the tension a bit. Just give this a pin 5 a tap. Tiny little click. That is the taper. So nothing on 4, try 3. Another taper on 3, which is a standard. Still nothing on 1. 5 again. Position it, there you go, another click. Nothing on 4. Another click out of 3. 1 is now binding. Right, we're now in a false set. Now the only pin that hasn't given us any feedback is 4. So let's go on to 4. Binding. That's dropped us into a false. And I'm going to keep it there because we know that to be a spool. So I'm going to just put a finger behind the Lishi and rotate the Lishi forward manually just to help it along, so I don't want to force the Lishi. The counter rotation is very shy. There you go, got a click and a bit more core movement. So I'm going to go back to 5. Give that a tap. Little click out of 5. Little taper. Try 3. 3 is binding. Back off the tension a bit. Nice click out of 3. Bit of core rotation. Try 1. 1 is binding. And yeah, we're open. So not entirely straightforward, but I think at least she demonstrates those tapers really rather well. So finally, Jason, once again, thank you very much. Really enjoyed that. Cheers.